I just came back from Agadir. We shot a video for the next single.
Mhm.
It's called Muk Ya Muk, and it's featuring El Warzazia. We need to really embrace our culture because the culture is beautiful. It's internationally known.
Mhm.
We just need to embrace it more. Ramène deux trois raclis, je les fais twerker sur du
Sur du
Shaabi,
Shaabi.
which basically means I brought two white girls and I made them twerk on Shaabi. That's real. Truly believe like Shaabi, like the Titswit, it can be as big internationally as reggaeton, as Afrobeat, as Amapiano.
Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to a brand new episode of Hespress English's Spill the Tea podcast. Today, we're going to be spilling the tea with an incredibly talented artist who's been making waves in the music industry. Born in Casablanca and now based in Montreal, Benny Adams started his music production career at the tender age of 16. He has since earned 9 gold singles and 6 platinum and is now stepping into the spotlight with his very own unique sound. Welcome, Benny.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here.
It's great to be here.
So first of all, before we talk about anything, I really want to touch on the name Benny Adam. Can you explain to us where that came from?
I think you have an idea, but
I do, but our viewers don't.
So Beni Adam basically means children of Adam, which we use in Morocco to talk about like people, like see people.
So it's
there.
literally
Ben
Benny Adam.
Ben Adam.
Yeah, I see.
So I needed a name that was international, but also doesn't forget like where I'm from.
It reflects your identity.
Exactly.
I see. I love it. So I want to start at the very beginning. Like we said, you were born in Casablanca, then you moved to Canada when you were 13.
Yes.
Can you talk to me a little about your childhood in Morocco before the move?
I was born in Casablanca, and we moved when I was very young to Rabat.
Mm-hmm.
I spent probably like 6 or 7 years in Rabat before going back to Casablanca, and then at 13 we left.
Mm-hmm.
I was in my family. We were always moving. I was always the new guy at school. But even from here, I used to draw a lot. I wanted to be I wanted to do comic books.
Illustrator.
Yeah. And as long as I can remember, I was always like the artist in school, at home.
The theater kid.
Yeah, the weird guy. And and I used to listen to a lot of music while I was drawing, so music came kind of naturally after that.
I see. So that's actually what I was going to ask you, where the inspiration came to start music at such a young age. You started at 16, right?
Yeah. Well, I started with rap music, actually, which was not the music that I used to listen to the most. But it was just this like trend, 8 Mile, the hip hop battles and all that. We started, battling at school between 2 classes and stuff like that. And I put together I had this headset with the mic. That was my first studio.
Nice.
And I took it from there.
So the inspiration first began in Canada.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. My first song I recorded in my bedroom in Laval. It's a small city near Montreal.
And what were some of the challenges that you faced starting on?
I started probably at the worst time ever, because it was la crise du disque. I don't know how to say it in English, but people weren't buying CDs anymore. We had Napster, we had Kazaa, all the LimeWire, all those things. So labels were not signing people back then. And
this was right before streaming, right?
Oh, much
way
much
before.
earlier.
Yeah.
And it was probably around 2004, 2003. And YouTube was not there yet. Facebook was just starting around 2005, 2006. So it was probably the worst time for someone to, start a career. It was not a career back then. I was just, playing around. But yeah, it was a struggle at first. But I've always been determined. So my first album, I had it pressed on CDs that I sold at school.
When you were
know?
16?
No, my first album, I put it out. I was 17 or 18, something like that.
Okay.
And I was going to college back then, and I sold like 300 copies just by myself at school. I was like the
300 copies that you sold.
Yeah.
That's not too bad for a beginning.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's
amazing.
That.
I'm very proud of that. And then I organized my first show in a real, venue in Montreal called La Sala Rosa. And that was the start of it. When I did that, I was like, if I can do this on my own, maybe there's a future for me.
Yeah, I see. And talk to me a little about your early production days, right before your big break with Niro.
Well, that's the thing. See, I started as an artist, and I started making my own beats at the same time. And the way it worked for me at the beginning is I used to put out music, and then other artists listen to it and be like, "Oh, who made the beat? Oh, it's you." So they used to pay me to make beats.
For beats, okay.
So it became my job, but it was not a choice.
It wasn't intentional.
No, it was not intentional, and it was the only thing that was actually bringing money to the table. Because my career was not picking up. So I did that for a very long time. And in 2016, I met Therapy Music. It's a producer from France. He heard my stuff. He said, "You have to come with us to Paris." So I went. That's where I met Niro, who's a French rapper. And we did probably like 20 songs together.
That's when you earned your first gold single.
Yeah, the first song, it was Printemps Blanc with Lazara, which is also another artist that I produce a lot.
You were producing her in Canada, right?
Yeah. Well, she's mostly in France, but the first album we kind of did it in Montreal. And when I went to Paris the first time, I had no money, I had nothing. I was sleeping on a couch. I know it's the classical sob story, but I used to scrap like change for food because I'm Moroccan. I'm proud. I never asked no one for nothing. And my goal was I told myself I cannot go back to Montreal without like at least one gold plaque.
Yeah.
And that year I had like 6.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you said that you started out as an artist, but then production is what kind of took off for you.
Exactly.
So what inspired you right now to make the switch back?
I always wanted to do the switch back. I just didn't have the right people around me. And in 2019, I just decided I needed to do it. So I was very, very busy with my producer career. And anytime I had like a free day, no sessions, I would just go to the studio and make a song from scratch.
Yeah, even in your production days, you were always putting out your own personal music.
Yeah, but not. It was kind of like every 2 years, every 3 years, because I didn't have the time to do it. Because when I'm working with other artists, it's I work hard and I give it the my whole energy.
It takes a lot of time too.
Yeah. It's very taxing. So I started in 2019 to just make songs. I did a lot of stuff in English back then. And when I started working in France, I was like, French is a beautiful language that I master from since my birth.
Yeah.
So it was an easy switch for me, and I started putting out songs every week with a small video, no budget, blah blah blah, and that got the attention of a big producer in France. From back in the days, whose name is Valérie Zetoun. And we found a label in Canada that was down to pick up the how to call it, le relais, and Coyote. And I'm still signed.
You're still
with them.
signed with them, right?
Yeah. Things are going great, and
I love that. So speaking of switch, 23. Travolta, Titswit, very, very different from your earlier Barquetry trilogy, as an example. Can you talk to us a little about the switch in
Well, that's
style?
the thing. That's very interesting because, see, when I was producing for other people, anytime I had time for me to make music for myself, I didn't have time to think about who I am, what do I really want to do, because I'm so well versed at so many different styles. I would just go with the flow and be like, oh, today I want to do this kind of music. Tomorrow I want to do rap. Next day I want to do Afrobeat.
Well, you have
whatever.
some bangers.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. But I decided to really focus on myself 3 years ago, and when I made Alizé with Small X, that's when I realized like this thing right here, like this mix of drill and Shaabi, is that one thing that I can do every day, and that could be just me, you know. Now, like 3 years later, like everybody's doing it.
That's what I was gonna say.
But back in the days, I was like, this could be something new that nobody's heard before, and it took me 3 years to really come up with the recipe of something that could be up to the international standards.
So just to clarify, we're talking about Draï right now, right?
Exactly, Draï. Draï comes from drill and Rai, you know. Although it's Shaabi, I felt like, you know, I thought about calling it Shaabit, but in French it's just not a great idea.
Draï sounds better.
Draï sounds much better, so we left it at that. And I'm a big fan of Rai and Algerian music too, and it's part of my heritage as well. So we left it at Draï.
And as you said, now we're noticing a lot of artists, especially North African diaspora artists, that are kind of going back to their roots, adding more traditional North African music in their
absolutely rap. I think it's easier for the diaspora to see the value of what we have in Morocco than for people who live in it every day. You know, it's like the fish and the water.
Yeah.
You know, the fish doesn't know what water is because he's surrounded by it, you know. But if you take him out of it, then it's like, oh, you know, it was pretty nice. So that's what happened to me when I was in France, especially in France. Like they have this thing with Arabs and Muslims and stuff like that. Every time I try to put like a little pinch of my heritage, it was like not well received.
It wasn't well received in France.
Yeah, and it was not like it was not the people. It was just the labels, the radios, all the politics
Can you
behind.
like give me an example of something that happened?
I mean, every meeting that I had, you know, every time I show something, it's like I see the faces, I see you know, this. It's not
and
the
it's
best
mainly
idea.
the executives behind it.
It's the industry. I get it. They're scared. They want to do something that's gonna bring them money at the end of the day. But I was convinced that people are willing to hear the music that I had to offer with that Moroccan heritage. And
you were right. I mean, 3 years later, and look at it now.
Exactly.
I mean, Moroccan hip hop is being heard in France all the time. Like.
Exactly. And when I saw DJ Snake, like the Disco Maghreb video, I was like, that's it. Nobody can tell me no now, because we have an example of a mainstream international artist going that route, and it's a hit.
I wanted to ask you about that actually. Will we ever hear you in a fully Darija song?
One day, but I don't want to do it just to do it. You know, I don't want to be that guy. Like كان هذا العربية عادي, ولكن the writing is different. You know, to be able to write poetry and that sounds good, that people will understand the references.
Yeah.
My English is pretty good also, but to write songs in English, you gotta have the whole background.
Yeah.
You know, because you're talking to people who have certain references.
You gotta know the slang,
history,
the references,
the slangs, all that. I'm not my Arabic is not strong enough for me to be able to do the kind of quality that I can deliver in French in Arabic. But it's gonna come, definitely.
That's
I'm
great.
already like putting words, small sentences here and there when they make sense. But it's definitely something that I'm going to do eventually.
Okay. I have to ask,
Yes.
Did Morocco's World Cup run have anything to do with the switch in style? Were you inspired?
Like I told you, it's been 3 years. I've done it way before, but Morocco going so far made me wanna settle back in Morocco. definitely. Because when you look at the team, it's mostly Moroccans who grew up in Europe, Spain, France, blah blah blah. And when those people come back, look what can happen.
Yeah.
Magic can happen.
Yeah.
So I felt like, as a Moroccan, I felt responsibility for my country to come back and do my small little contribution to this whole movement that's been going on for the past years.
Oh, we're already seeing it with your songs, for example, Titswit.
Travolta.
It has such a beautiful sample of the Moroccan song Zawiya.
Yeah.
Travolta, I love the reference to Mohamed El Mazouni. There's Shaabi in it. So it's already evident in your music.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, in the future, what kind of samples can we expect from you?
I mean, the album is full of samples. My publisher is gonna is gonna lose his
struggle.
mind. But I have many songs that people know that I used for the album. I have a few that are like completely original, but I like to take something that already existed and give it kind of a second life. Revive it, but not just redoing the same thing.
Not just a straight up sample. You got to play with it around.
Exactly. Like, the whole idea is to take the Shaabi, the classical Shaabi, and to make it sound like it's, 2024.
And that's Draï.
That's Draï.
I love it.
Yeah.
So you've been coming to Morocco quite a lot recently.
Yeah.
Have you cooked something in the studio with someone that we might know?
Yes, definitely. I just came back from Agadir. We shot a video for the next single. It's called Mouk Ya Mouk, and it's featuring El Ouarzazia.
That's great.
For people who don't know Ouarzazia, I don't know where you've been living, but
they will discover her now.
She's a rock star.
She is. She really is.
And she has this song that some of y'all might know. It's called Mouk Ya Mouk.
It went viral on TikTok. I think everybody already knows this song. Even if they don't know who sings it, they absolutely know the song.
And actually, the Ouarzazia is the only Moroccan artist who ever been to NPR, Tiny Desk. That show. She's the only Moroccan.
She has an NPR Tiny Desk show.
Yeah.
No, I saw her live last year. It was magical.
She's a superstar.
Absolutely magical.
She's a superstar, and I think once people realize that, and I think the rest of the world will realize it before Moroccans actually give her.
You think so?
Her props. Yeah, I think she's.
I mean,
I've met a lot of very successful artists, but I've never felt so small next to someone until the day I met her.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that in a way that I am who I am, but I felt the pressure.
I see.
Because she's the real deal.
I mean, she is a massive star.
She's the real deal.
Like you said, she's a rock star.
Yeah. I mean, just we went from the place where we put the stuff, and we went to the set for the video shoot. The road, it was like 3 minutes. They did a show in the car.
They were singing the entire time.
They're unstoppable.
I love that. Can I ask you, how did you guys meet? Like, what was the connection?
It was through my manager in Morocco, Lubna. Her sister hired her for her wedding.
I see.
And that's how they connected. And she told me, like, you really need to listen to this, because I didn't know the record before. And you need to do something with her. And the next day the song was done. I ripped her vocals from a live performance. I made the whole song, and then we recorded her actual vocals like 2 weeks ago in Marrakesh, and that's it.
How did she take the proposition of working with the rapper?
She was very, very cool with it. She's a nice person, and she loves music, and she I think she's always gonna be young in her head.
She's a young soul.
She's a young soul, and I'm not gonna spill the tea, but in the video you're gonna be surprised how she's gonna be dressed.
I mean, I've seen some of it, and people are gonna be very surprised.
Very surprised. Yeah.
So what I wanted to ask you is about the album. When can we expect something? Is there like a release date in the works, or
yes,
where are
absolutely.
You at?
Like I don't have the actual date, but it's gonna be either mid or late September.
Okay, so it's coming out this year.
Yeah, it's done. I've everything to the mastering. Now
That's great.
it's finished. So it's just a matter of, you know, putting the strategy together.
Yeah.
No, the music is done. I've spent 3 years like touching up, but now I'm like, okay, let's just send this to the world. I'm a perfectionist, but at a point, like, I don't want to release the album in 5 years.
But how different was the process as opposed to when you were making the Barquetry trilogy? Like
the Barquetry was very
process.
fast. It was just one day, make the song, mix it, boom, boom, send it, release it, you know? With the album, it's different. For me, an album is the first page of the scripted history.
Yeah.
You know, it was very important for me, and I already know like the names of the 4 albums that I'm gonna do, and I'm not gonna do.
So you have a road plan already for like the next
exactly.
10 years, maybe.
No, I think it's gonna be very fast. I think I'm gonna release the 4 albums in 4 years or probably less. You know, unless people really like the first one, I might take time before giving them something new. But I'm pretty fast, and it was important for me to have like clear direction. As I told you, I was able to do funk, boom, reggaeton, anything. But now I have my own thing, so it's gonna be easy, and I'm always evolving. I'm always trying to learn new rhythms. In Morocco, we have like 35 different rhythms, so there's a lot to work with. The second album will be very different from the first one. I'm gonna go in places I didn't go on the first one, but it's gonna be very fast.
So today you released the music video for Titswit. Can you talk to us a little about it? How you guys filmed it? Because it looks very fun. It looks like one big fun party.
Oh, we had the craziest party ever.
So it was really just one party. It wasn't just a set.
It was just one party. I met with this guy, Amin Bendriwish.
Okay, the designer.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Who is a designer. He's also an event planner. And we were talking on Instagram. And I told him, like, listen, I have this record. I want to release it, and I want to do a video for it. That was a year ago. It was June last year. We started talking. So he came up with this idea of doing like a party in a tent, with his
just like a wedding
artistic direction. Well, the idea was really to mix 2 worlds that never collide in real life, which is like people from La Robia, and people from the big cities, you know, young girls and guys, and to mix those 2
so it's
worlds.
basically Draï in visual form.
You got it.
Okay.
That was the idea. We have neons, you know, in the tent and stuff like that, and the idea was to film a party from the start till the end. We have shikhat, we have musicians, no cuts, no action. It was just 2 cameras rolling the whole night, 4 hours of pure bliss.
Well, honestly, the energy really transferred on the video. You can tell.
Yeah. Oh, it was probably wilder if you
were there.
If you were there, yeah. And it took a lot of time for me to finish the video. I needed to add like the intro with the Moroccan taxi, you know, the 240 Mercedes, and I needed to redo also the video clip for Travolta, which was too much of a good record for me to, because I did a first video clip which was just a street thing that we did in one day, but I felt like I needed to do a real video, so I had to postpone like Titswit a little later.
That's why the song took a little time to come out as a video.
Yeah, exactly. The song came out a year ago, but the video just came out. And so that was the whole idea behind it.
Speaking of Travolta, I love the Outcast reference. I don't know if it was intentional or not.
It was completely intentional. It was 2 things.
The wig is just on point.
It was 2 things. It was Heya from Outcast, and it was also Walk It Like I Talk It from Migos, where they did the Soul Train reference. So that's why you can read Qitar Ruh. It's Soul Train in Arabic, you know.
So I love that you're mixing Outkast, Soul Train,
Yeah.
and a little reference to
عربي
Mohamed
ديال الميريكان.
Mezouni.
That's it.
Nadi Kanadi.
عربي ديال الميريكان. That's how I am. I mean, I'm from Morocco, but I grew up in North America. So, you know,
it's the mix between these two influences.
That's what happens.
Yeah. So I hope this really kickstarts like a little trend of Moroccans, local Moroccans actually starting to take from traditional elements, traditional music, and adding it, pumping it into our industry.
Yeah, it's already happening, and it's going to be more and more. You see, it's nice. When I listen to the radio, I hear a lot of Moroccan artists doing hip hop, you know, real hip hop, like American hip hop, and I see others doing Afrobeat. I see others doing DJs. They do a lot of amapiano and stuff like that. But I would really be happy if there were more people doing the Moroccan thing, because we have our own thing. We don't need to take from others to feel like validated. I think that we need to really embrace our culture, because the culture is beautiful. It's internationally known. We just need to embrace it more.
I still think that the music industry, and especially hip hop and rap in Morocco, is still in its baby phase, or maybe its teenage phase.
But it doesn't start with the industry. It starts with the art. It starts with the artists.
But for the artists to try and like make a name for themselves in the beginning, especially since we don't have like a very well-established industry and well-established resources in the country, it makes a little sense for me that people are borrowing from American rap, French rap, Afro beats in order to just be on the map. And then I feel like once we are on the map, which we started doing in recent years, eventually people are going to start taking from our very rich heritage.
Well, you'll never be on the map anywhere if you're doing something that they're doing. You're never going to be on the map. You're colonized. You're on their map.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not putting your country on the map. You're just doing whatever they're doing. And that's what I've always been telling people here is like, you can make the best Travis Scott type beats. Travis Scott will never pick up your beats, you know?
Because I mean, there was a little incident with Isam. I don't know if you know the rapper Isam.
Yes. What's the incident? There was a little
incident. There was he worked at a studio. I think it was an American studio, and there was a beat that he worked with that later on, I think it was Travis Scott, if I'm not mistaken. It was Travis, right? It was Travis Scott used the same beat that Isam used, and a lot of people were surprised.
Maybe
it was a joke afterwards.
Maybe it was the sample, because now we have things that are like Splice and stuff like that. There are banks of samples that anybody can use.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes two artists can use the same sample.
It was just really funny because it was created for Isam initially. Like it wasn't just a sample that he used.
But was it the beat, the beat that Travis Scott bought, or it was just a coincidence of the same sample?
No, he actually used the beat. Okay. He used the same beat because it was made in the same studio. And it was like a big thing. It was a huge thing on the internet. Everybody was like making jokes about it because now like Travis Scott is stealing from a Moroccan rapper who's just starting out. Yeah. And I feel like, speaking of Isam, he was also one of the pioneers of this genre. I mean, when he put out Trap al-Bildi,
absolutely,
it was
crazy
an
record.
Absolute hit.
I loved it,
and I don't know why it didn't get picked up. Like the trend that he started didn't get.
Even him, he never did anything else like that.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah,
he
true.
switched back to the Travis Scott that type of sound, which he really does really well. I have a lot of respect for him, but I truly don't believe that that's the way for Morocco to be on the map. I think Morocco can be on the map as Morocco, not as an imitation of whatever's going on in the States or in Europe or in Korea or whatever.
We can see it happening already with like artists like Tif, for example.
Tif, you have also what's his name, Distinct. You know, he's blowing up internationally. You know, so there's another guy that I really like. It's Snor. Snor. He adds a little bit more of that. You know. Draï,
Shaabi, we've seen it on Hekaya, for example.
Exactly, Hekaya is a crazy record.
Yeah, it's a crazy
record. That I can show to Americans and they'll be like,
it was a hit.
You know
it was
a
fantastic hit. Even in Morocco, I mean, it was on the radio for months on end. Like everybody was listening to Hekaya, which just speaks to the merits of including.
When you do it well,
It's going to work.
It can be international.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about like North Africa and Asia. I'm talking like worldwide. Like I said in Travolta, je ramène 2-3 raclis, je les fais twerker sur du Shaabi. Which basically means I brought 2 white girls and I made them twerk on Shaabi. That's real.
Yeah.
Like that's what happened in the studio.
We can see it on the video.
I played one of my songs without telling the girls that it was mine. We were just vibing in the studio, and they went on top of the table and they started
twerking to Shaabi.
And they've never heard that rhythm. So I was like, I always thought like people might not understand the rhythm. No, it's here. You know, everybody understands it. You just sometimes need to make it obvious for them.
It just needs to be a little more palpable for people.
Yeah, you just have to put the kick on the first, you know.
Let it be a little accessible and everybody's gonna vibe.
And everybody loves that. Like it's international. I truly believe like Shaabi, like the Titswit, it can be as big internationally as reggaeton, as Afrobeat, as Amapiano. I truly believe that.
So I'm assuming that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to bring.
I hope if I can do that, like I'll die very happy. But it can be me, it can be anybody.
Or at least
but
take the first step.
Yeah.
Take the first step towards
it has
making
to happen.
That happen.
It has to happen. We need that as a country, and we deserve that. Also, I think.
Okay.
I think we have a culture that's. I mean, I traveled a lot, you know, and it's just something with Morocco that's unique. And the world needs to know about it.
Oh, there's a very diverse and very rich heritage. Even musically speaking, you have Shaabi, you have very different types of laïta from one region to another.
Yeah.
We have Sahrawi music, music from the north. It's not all similar. There are a lot of influences that are just ready for the taking. They're just waiting for someone to pull from them and make a hit out of them.
Yeah, Morocco is a hot spot historically and geographically. Like we're in Africa. There's the Muslim influence. There's the European influence. There's the African influence. We were the first country to recognize the United States as a country. So there's a lot of things that's happened to this country that makes it really, really special. You know, it's like we're argan oil. It can only exist in Morocco.
Yeah.
You know, and there's the music that we can do can only come from here.
Yeah.
You know, so to me, it's my life battle to make our culture, our music mainly, be known internationally a little more.
That's a very noble goal.
Thank you.
And I wish you good luck.
Thank you.
And
Inshallah.
To close it out, I would love to see what you listened to recently in your personal time, not like to get inspired.
That's a good question.
What have you been listening to recently?
When you work so much, you don't really have time to listen to music, because when I leave the studio, I'm like, when I'm in the car, I'm not listening to anything, or I'm just.
You've had headphones on for the entire time.
Exactly,
so.
But let me think. I like the last artist that really got to me was Rosalia.
Oh.
When she released, but that was already a while ago.
Yeah.
Like 4 years ago, when she released El Mal Querer, that album, and that also probably played something in my head where she took the flamenco and she just modernized it.
She made it her own
and made it cool.
Yeah.
You know, flamenco was not cool. It's a very, very complicated form of music and art. It's super difficult. It's not something that's just anybody can pick up. You really have to study. You have to be super talented. But she made it very accessible without taking away all the richness of it. And what a woman! I mean, it's like she's schooling all of us.
Yeah.
You know, when I heard that album, I was like,
and in Morocco,
I have so much more to learn.
What kind of artists have you been listening to from Morocco?
In Morocco, like I told you, like Issam, like when I heard that Trap Bildi, I was like, yo, this guy is hot. Snore, I'm a big fan. Small X, obviously.
The legend.
He's basically family.
Yeah.
Who else? Well, Distinct, you know, for that, you know, pop, very efficient. Yeah. You're dancing in the club. It's perfect for that.
It works for that mood.
Exactly. Who else? There's probably others that I'm forgetting. Chief, good friend of mine that I admire a lot. Like he's doing the right moves also.
Well, that's quite the collection.
Yeah.
And it makes sense given your inspirations and stuff. Thank you so much for being here, Benny. It was a pleasure having you. And
pleasure being here too.
When can we expect your album once more for our listeners?
September, probably like late September, I'd say.
Okay. Yeah. So stay tuned for Benny Adams' new album in September. And thank you so much for tuning in to this new episode of Hespress English's Spill the Tea podcast. Stay tuned for another episode. Bye.